New Political Thinking in the Nuclear Age, a Novosti Press Agency Round Table. Taking part are Michel Tatou of Le Monde, France, Pierre Salinger, Paris correspondent of the ABC Television Company, USA, Jürgen Jagla, editor-in-chief of Kolnische Rundschau, FRG, Krishnan Kudi, Assistant Director General of UNI, India, Achille Tagalili, political commentator, Tanzania, Harold Hamrin of Dagens Nyheter, Sweden, Valentin Falin, Chairman of the Board of the Novosti Press Agency, Major General Yuri Lebedev, a Department Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Soviet Armed Forces, Georgy Shakhnazarov, Chairman of Soviet Association of Political Sciences, Academician Nikita Moiseev, Georgy Golitsyn, corresponding member of the USSR Academy of Sciences, Daniel Proyektor, Doctor of Science, Ales Adamovich, Soviet writer, Metropolitan Sergei, Nikolai Yefimov of Izvestia, USSR. This has been an unprecedented year in our country's history and diplomacy as regards the number and importance of initiatives launched by the Soviet Union. We have a very wide theme for discussion today. We are now living through a period which our press describes as a turning point. Our lives and the lives of many of our descendants will depend on the decisions taken in this period. Let me give the floor to Mr. Falin, Chairman of the Board of the Novosti Press Agency, who is our host today.
Председателю управления агентства печати «Новости» Валентину Михайловичу Фалину. Уважаемые гости,
dear guests,
товарищи,
comrades,
сегодня
it will be no exaggeration to say that the Soviet-American summit in Reykjavik gave a new impetus to the discussion of the main issue of our day.
Во всех странах с новой силой дискуссии о главном.
What shall the world look like in the coming decade and in the 21st century? The Soviet state and the Soviet Communist Party have come to a conclusion that it is necessary to develop an entirely new political thinking and once again thoroughly analyze everything that in the recent past was considered to be a firm axiom in international relations. Power politics, the policy of violence, have utterly failed. In our age, security can only be universal. And as regards the United States and the Soviet Union, only mutual. We must have agreement in questions like this, so that our peoples and our civilization as a whole continue to exist. We must have agreement lest the last chapter of our civilization should begin. Thank you. Dear guests, dear comrades, now I give the floor to Mr. Proyektor. I am deeply convinced, we are all deeply convinced, that our epoch is an entirely new one, and we must approach in a new way many traditional categories in the political field, in international relations, and in the military sphere. We live in a paradoxical world. A shocking dialectics has emerged. On the one hand, enormous stockpiles of weapons of mass destruction have been accumulated, which in my opinion cannot be measured by normal earthly values, but only by cosmic ones. And on the other, mankind now begins to understand that it cannot use this fantastic power as a political means. And if it is really so, we can make at least three relevant conclusions. Conclusion 1. All of us in the East and in the West, in the North and in the South must admit that political decisions should dominate military ones. Conclusion 2. If the above said is true, and this is true, then there are objective conditions for ridding mankind of the nuclear weapons. This is not a fantasy. This is a reality. And if there are people who skeptically smile at this thought, I believe they should ponder over it now, after the Reykjavik summit. Conclusion 3. There are two main philosophies of security today. I mean international security. The first is based on political means. Security through a universal system of security where all the sides are equally interested in the security of one another. This approach is based on our philosophy of the primacy of the human factor. Man is the measure of all things. People said in ancient times. This maxim is particularly topical today. Yes, man is the measure of all things. There is another concept, and it has many advocates. It consists in achieving security on a military and technological basis. In other words, the proponents of this theory believe in attaining security by accumulating force. This is why I would like to criticize here at least two premises of the advocates of such a concept of security. We all know that deterrence philosophy is the foundation of the security policy worked out in NATO. This philosophy is still valid and is confirmed by many facts. The situation arises where a threat of overall destruction is presented as the foundation of a lasting peace. In my opinion, it is an extremely dangerous point of view. Power can only give birth to power, and this cannot lead to peace. I would like to say a few words concerning Mr. Proyektor's words. He said some things which I doubt very much. He said we would need a new philosophy, central to which would be the realization of the fact that man is the measure of all things. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we must not rely on this maxim. As a West German citizen, I wouldn't rely on it as regards the Soviet Union, and I believe the Soviet politicians would be right not to agree to this maxim unconditionally. The way to disarmament is a right way, no doubt about that. Such a way is necessary, but we must discard the illusion that having decreased the quantity of arms, we will have a lesser danger of war.